On this Remembrance Day, we remember in Flanders Fields by Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from falling hands we throw. The torch be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields. This Remembrance Day, lest we forget, and we remember. Hello once again, everybody. Andrew Rogers here for TST Total Sports Talk. Thank you very much for joining me for another episode of TST. It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you as always for tuning in. Of course, like I mentioned, Movember is in full effect, and yes, it is Remembrance Day. Remembrance Day is upon us. It comes this Saturday, November the 11th. It'll be our last show before then. Unfortunately, next week I'm not going to do a show based on Remembrance Day because they say you shouldn't wear poppies after November 11th. So since the episode will fall on a later date, I chose to do the episode in dedication to Remembrance Day today, this week. Yeah, like I said, Movember's in full effect. And did I not promise a dirty mustache? I hope I did. And if I did, then what do you think? You like what you see? Yeah, nice, right? Yeah, it's only going to get dirtier and I cannot wait. Yeah, like I said, great episode of TST coming up for you guys. We got Hawk Tawk. The Winter Hawks were in action for another game this past week, this time against the Petrolia Squires at the Plex. We'll recap all that action there. As, of course, we always have our player profile, and we will tee up what's up next for the Winter Hawks in that report on Hawk Talk this week. We also got reports on the Owen Sound Attack, Toronto Maple Leafs, Toronto Raptors. We talk about the National Football League. And, of course, we wrap the World Series. What a World Series it was. It came down to a Game 7. It was unbelievable. We'll get more into that in the Major League Baseball report and the World Series report. What we also have today is exciting news for you. Due to the conclusion of the World Series, there will be a brand new segment debuting next week. I will have all the details coming up at the tail end later on in the show of the Major League Baseball report. I'll give you all the details of this brand new segment that we're going to be doing. I'm very excited about it, and it involves you. So be also excited about it from a viewership standpoint. We also, of course, for another week of TST, have our sports movie pick of the week. And that'll close out the show at the end of the program. We're really excited about the episode. I'm very excited about the episode. My mustache is really excited about the episode. So without further ado, here is this week's Hawk Talk. TST Total Sports Talk presents Hawk Talk, brought to you by Gord's Imprints and Design. New location opening at 685 Goderich Street in downtown Port Elgin in the fall of 2017. Visit www.gordsimprints.com for more. This past week, the Saugeen Shores Winter Hawks were in Port Elgin to face off against the Petrolia Squires at the Plex. Here is all your highlights. Saugeen Shores Winter Hawks and the Petrolia Squires from the Plex in Port Elgin, Ontario. Picked this one up in the first period. Petrolia Squires looking to get on the board. 3-on-1. Jeff Flagler, equal to the task, keeps it scoreless. Less than 3 to play. Hawks looking to get on the board. Pretty passing play as Trevor Smith gets it over to Chris Menard, who puts it over to Connor Patton, back to Menard. He is denied by Brandon Campbell to keep it tied at 0. Hawks pressing late in the first, looking for the game's first goal.
Played in behind the net. Play continues. Johnston out front. Underwood scores! Blake Underwood all alone on the feed from Curtis Johnston.
Blake Underwood's second of the season and second in as many games has the Winter Hawks out in front, 1-0. 4 minutes into the second, Hawks trying to add to their lead. Chris Menard denied by Campbell once again to keep it a 1-goal game. 7 minutes into the second period, a brutal turnover from Trevor Smith leads to the goal from Jason McPhail of the Petrolia Squires to tie this thing 1 apiece. Skip ahead to the third now. On a fresh sheet of ice, the Hawks looking to take the lead.
He winds and fires, scores! James McCaig!
James McCaig's first of the season comes just 18 seconds into the third period. Hawks lead it 2-1. Just over 3 minutes later, a Connor Patton turnover leads to a Davis Boyer goal off a nice feed from Bob Van Weinsberger. We're even at 2 apiece. This game needed overtime. In the extra frame, Hawks with the best chance on the 2-on-1. Blake Underwood waits, but his shot finds the iron as this one requires the shootout. Davis Boyer is the first to shoot for Petrolia. He goes 5-hole. It's 1-0 Petrolia. Lachlan Elder is the first to shoot for the Saugeen Shores Winterhawks. He goes high blocker. We're even at 1 apiece. Jesse Ferguson is next up. He pops the water bottle in behind Jeff Flagler. It's 2-1 Petrolia. Chris Menard fakes the slap shot and finally puts one past Campbell. We are tied again, 2 apiece. Bob Van Weinsberg is next. He also beats Flagler. High glove. 3-2 Petrolia. Blake Underwood is next to shoot for the Winterhawks. He tries to go blocker side but comes up wide. It remains 3-2 Petrolia. Paul Thompson has a chance to win it for the Squires. He has Flagler down and out, but he hits the post. Hawks with life. Brent McDermott is next to shoot for the Winterhawks. He tries to tie it up, but he finds the post as well, as the Squires have a chance to put this one on ice.
Arsenault with the game on his stick. In, scores!
Adam Arsenault dekes out Flagler as the Squires outlast the Winterhawks. 3-2 is the final. Both Jeff Flagler and Brandon Campbell were very sharp in the nets, as both goalies allowed only 2 goals in the game through regulation and overtime, stopping 34 shots apiece. The loss drops the Saugeen Shores Winterhawks to 2-2-1 on the season, while the Petrolia Squires improved to 3-4 on the year. So yes, the Saugeen Shores Winterhawks come up short in the shootout, losing for the first time in the shootout this season. Their record drops to 2-2-1, while the Petrolia Squires to move to 3-4. It was a very entertaining hockey game. A lot of shots on both sides. The goaltenders really stood out in this one, both of them making 34 saves apiece. Jeff Flagler and Brandon Campbell for the Petrolia Squires. Now, taking a look now at your Winterhawks scoring leaders, Trent Hawk leads the way, 4 goals and 4 assists for 8 points for him. He's followed up by Brent McDermott, 1 goal, 4 assists. Same with number 37, Lachlan Elder, with a goal and 4 assists. Jay Thompson comes in at number 4, goal and 3 assists for him. He's joined there by Andy Mitchell, 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points. Blake Underwood, he's up there as well, 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. He's joined by Josh Hopkin, 2 goals and 2 assists. A lot of guys scoring on all cylinders. It's a very balanced scoring attack from the Saugeen Shores Winterhawks. It's very encouraging to see this early on in the season. Hopefully that could translate into a few more wins. We now take a look at the standings across the league coming into this week. The Clinton Radars are in first place. They are 5-0 on the season through 5 games. They are undefeated. They are off to a fantastic start, the defending champs. Tillsonburg Thunder go from 1-2 this week, 4-2-1 on the season. The Durham Thundercats are number 3. They are 4-0. They are also undefeated. They are the only 2 teams undefeated so far, the Clinton Radars and the Durham Thundercats. Ripley Wolves come in at number 4. They are 4-2, joined by the Shelburne Muskies at number 5, 4-2 for them. The Petrolia Squires at 3-4 leapfrog the Saugeen Shores Winterhawks, who fall to the number 7 spot, 2-2-1 on the season. They are followed by Milverton Four-Wheel Drives at 2-1. The Huron East Centenaires at 2-3 are at the number 9 spot. The Shell Lake Crushers are at number 10, 2-4 on the season. Tavistock Royals come in at number 11. They are 2-5 on the year, while the Lucknow Lancers are at 1-3-1, and the Elora Rocks at 1-4-1 are tied. They are at 12-13 respectively, 3 points apiece for them. Yeah, so the Saugeen Shores Winterhawks got some work to do. They're certainly not off to the fantastic start they were last year, where they went 18-1-1 on the whole season. They won't equal that record, but hopefully they can pull off a few wins in a row, get a good win streak going, and really take this thing into the new year rolling. And you know what? It'll come. The wins will come. I'm not worried about that for sure. Now, without any further ado, here is this week's Saugeen Shores Winterhawks player profile.
Richard Harris. I live in Port Elgin. In 1995, we won All Ontario's in Midget in Owen Sound. So a bunch of guys I'd played with for 6 or 7 years, and it all kind of came together that year. So
Right on, it was really cool for you.
Yeah, we went down to Bell River, Belleville, all over, and then went up actually to north of Timmins for the final tournament and brought home the hardware, yeah. That's a good one. I was in Bantam in Owen Sound and got called up to the midget team.
Okay.
And went down to Milton to play a game. And of course, first shot on net from outside the blue line goes in. Luckily, they had a player offside, so it didn't count. But I was nervous, and so I'm like, oh, these guys think I'm an idiot. I need to go home. And one of the players on the team, who I'm still friends with now, comes up and says, didn't go on the scoreboard, man. Didn't count. Let's just get back at it. So that's pretty good.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, exactly. I just miss with the guys. Like, I went away. I played the first year of the Winterhawks 11 years ago, I guess. Played a year in Shaw Lake and then went away for 6 or 7 years. And then a couple years ago, they brought me back. And you don't realize maybe how much you miss it until you get back into it. And like, I'm 39 years old. I got 3 kids and a wife and doing all that kind of stuff. But it's awesome just being at the rink with the guys at practice and the odd road trips. So.
Right on. Former NHLer and Port Elgin native Brett McLean was drafted in the second round, 32nd overall in the 07 draft. Which team took him?
Phoenix Coyotes.
Good job. Which Canadian NHLer scored the golden goal in the 2010 Winter Olympics in Vancouver?
Sidney Crosby.
Yes, he did. Right on. Good job. Which former NHLer has the nickname the Finnish Flash?
Jari Kurri. No, it's sorry. Yeah.
Teemu
Selanne. That's awful. Sorry.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah. See, I'm old. I'm one of the old guys on the team that still remembers Jari Kurri.
Fair enough. Nothing wrong with Jari Kurri.
Yeah.
In 1996, Colorado Avalanche won their first Stanley Cups after relocating from Quebec. Who did they beat?
Philadelphia?
Florida Panthers.
Oh, that's right. It was that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Boston Bruins captain Zdeno Chara has played for 3 teams in his NHL career. The Boston Bruins, the Ottawa Senators, and the team that drafted him. Which one was that?
Islanders?
Islanders is right. Good job, buddy. And spell the word Zamboni.
Zamboni. Yeah. Use it in a sentence.
No, just
sorry. Zamboni.
That's correct. Good job, buddy.
I just love being around it because it's a community thing. Like, I actually changed my Facebook picture a few days ago to just showed with my daughter and one of her friends on the ice during the intermission. So I love it. You know, I dressed for a lot of home games last year, and all 3 of my kids, Lucas, Janie, and Micah, have done the mini Hawks in intermission, and I just love it being involved in minor hockey and seeing how much those kids look up to the guys on the team. And like, I'm a 3rd string goalie on a senior A hockey team, but I go to hey, Rich, we saw you at the rankings, things like that. So just amazing how much the kids in town look up to the guys on the team. So I think that's pretty awesome.
100%. Yes, so that is Richard Harris of the Saugeen Shores Winterhawks, goaltender. He was a phenomenal player profile interview, and I thank you very much for Richard for doing that for us. And you know, we look forward to speaking with him again, and we always look forward to those player profiles week after week because they are very entertaining. So next up for the Saugeen Shores Winterhawks, unfortunately they do not have a game this weekend. I believe they were supposed to play the Mapleton Minto 81s. However, with them withdrawing before the season started, they were forced into reworking the schedule and trying to fit in 2 more games, which come at the end of the season. But they do have 2 games on the docket for the following weekend. They are both on the road. The first is up on the Friday, November 17th at 8:30 p.m. against the Elora Rocks from Elora, Ontario. Should be a dandy matchup there. And then Saturday, November 18th at 7:30 p.m. they are in Seaforth to face off against the Huron East Centenaires. It'll be the second meeting between the 2 teams. First against the Elora Rocks 2 weeks from today. It'll be 2 weekends from this up. It'll be not this weekend, but the following weekend. You know what I mean. I'm sorry. But anyways, hopefully they can pick up a couple wins. Next week on the TST program, we will have the Winterhawks Hawk Tawk. Hopefully maybe we can get somebody on the line. I don't know who exactly yet, but we should be able to line up somebody to join us on Hawk Talk to talk about the Saugeen Shores Winterhawks at this point in the season. And of course, we will have your player profile as always. This has been this week's Hawk Talk. We'll take a short break. We'll come right back for the Owen Sound Attack report. Stay tuned. TST Total Sports Talk presents the Owen Sound Attack report. Welcome back, everybody, to TST Total Sports Talk. Andrew Rogers here with you, as always. Thank you very much for joining me. This is your Owen Sound Attack report, and the Attack were busy. They had a busy weekend, back-to-back, in Mississauga to face off against the Steelheads, and then a very tough test at home the following night at the Bayshore against the very tough London Knights. Here are those game recaps. Our first game saw the Owen Sound Attack defeat the Mississauga Steelheads 5-4 in the shootout. Zach Bauman made 30 saves in the victory. The Attack moved to 9-4, 0-2 on the season. Kevin Hancock supplied 2 goals for the Owen Sound Attack, while Sean Dursey and Aiden Dudas had a goal apiece for the Owen Sound Attack. Nick Suzuki and Marcus Phillips both providing 2 assists apiece for the Owen Sound Attack in the victory. It drops the Mississauga Steelheads down to 5-9, 0-1 on the season. In the shootout, Nick Suzuki would score first, and then Maxim Sushko would score the last one, as this shootout required 9 rounds before Maxim Sushko's winner stood up as the Owen Sound Attack defeat the Mississauga Steelheads 5-4. On Saturday was the Attack falling to the London Knights 4-1. The Attack dropped to 9-5, 0-2 on the season, while the London Knights improved to 6-9, 2-0 on the season. Goaltender Joseph Raymakers of the London Knights was very good, 24 saves in the victory on 25 shots. Max Jones led the way, 2 goals for him, while Sam Militek and Robert Thomas both added a goal and an assist apiece. Aiden Dudas was supplied the only goal for the Owen Sound Attack in the loss. It was his 11th of the season. That came off assists from Cole Cameron and Zach Roberts to open the scoring. Unfortunately, the Owen Sound Attack would suffer the next 4 goals at the hands of the Owen Sound Attack. At the hands of the London Knights. We're going to look now at your OHL standings as it pertains to the Western Conference and your Owen Sound Attack. Leading the way are the Sarnia Sting. Through 18 games, they are 5-3, 0-0 on the season, good for 30 points. The Kitchener Rangers are at number 2. 17 games played for them, 10-6-1 on the season, good for 21 points. The Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds come in at number 3. 18 games played, they are 13-3-2 on the year, 28 points for them. The Windsor Spitfires slot in at number 4. 18 games played for them, 11-6-1 on the season, 23 points. The Owen Sound Attack are 3 points back in the number 5 spot. They have played 16 games so far this season, 9-5, 0-2 for them, 20 points on the year. Erie Otters are at number 6. 18 games played, 8-7, 2-1. They are a point back of the Owen Sound Attack. The Guelph Storm are 1 point behind Erie. 17 games played for them. They are 8-7, 0-2 on the year. And in a 3-place tie for the 8th, 9th, and 10th spot, or at least the 8th spot, the Saginaw Spirit, the London Knights, and the Flint Firebirds. Saginaw has played 16 games. They are 6-8-2, while the London Knights and the Flint Firebirds are both 6-9-2 on the year. All have 14 points at this point in the season. Your Attack leading scorers are as follows. Nick Suzuki leads the way, 28 points, 10 goals, 18 assists for him. He's joined by Sean Dursey up at the top. Sean Dursey, 9 goals, 18 assists for 27 points through 16 games so far this season. Kevin Hancock comes in at number 3, 8 goals, 14 assists for 22 points for him, while Aiden Dudas is surged into the lead in goals. He leads the way, 11 goals, 4 assists for him, 15 points on the season. And Maxim Sushko rounds out the top 5 through 14 games, 9 goals and 5 assists for 14 points for him. Looking now at your OHL League leading scorers, Jordan Kyrou of the Sarnia Sting is pulling away from the competition through 16 games. The Sniper has 15 goals and 22 assists for the Sting, 37 points to lead the way. Aaron Luchuk is number 2 for the Windsor Spitfires. 18 games played, 18 goals, 15 assists for 33 points. He trails Kyrou by 4 points. Adam Ruzichka of the Sarnia Sting is at number 3. Through 18 games, 13 assists and 15 or 13 goals and 15 assists, for 28 points. He is tied with Owen Sound's Nick Suzuki, 10 goals, 18 assists for him, 28 points. And defenseman Sean Dursey, number 5 in the OHL League leading scorers, 9 goals, 18 assists for 27 points, which means, yes, he does lead all defensemen in scoring. So the Owen Sound Attack got some work to do. They drop a tough one at the hands of the London Knights. They will no doubt bounce back, and they will have a chance to do so this upcoming Saturday, November 11th at the Bayshore against the Sudbury Wolves. It's a 7:30 puck drop. Sudbury comes into the game. They are 6-10-3 on the season. Following that up, they would play the next day on Sunday, November 12th, a matinee, 2:05 p.m. puck drop there. They are in Sarnia to face off against the Western Conference leading Sarnia Sting. They're off to a hot start. They are 15-3, 0-0 on the season. This has been your Owen Sound Attack report for this week's episode of TST Total Sports Talk. We'll be right back. Don't switch your dial. The Toronto Maple Leafs report and the NHL report come up on the other side of the break. Stick around. TST Total Sports Talk presents the NHL and the Toronto Maple Leafs report. Welcome back, everybody. Andrew Rogers here for TST. Hope you are enjoying the episode so far. The Toronto Maple Leafs report is this part of the program today. The Maple Leafs were very busy last week. They had 4 games. Here are your game recaps. In the first game that the Leafs played last week, they entertained the Anaheim Ducks on the close of a 4-game road, or on the start of the second game of a 4-game road trip. Leafs defeating the Anaheim Ducks 3-1. Leafs improving to 8-5-0 while the Ducks fall to 6-5-1. Frederik Andersen was very good in the game, stopped 28 of 29 shots for the victory, while John Gibson, he was the hard luck loser in this one, 26 saves for him in the defeat. Patrick Marleau, Connor Brown, and Leo Komarov all scoring for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Patrick Marleau also adding an assist for a 2-point night. Also a 2-point night for Ron Hainsey, defenseman of the Toronto Maple Leafs, with 2 assists on the evening. James Van Riemsdyk earned himself an assist as well. Andre Cass would provide the goal for the Anaheim Ducks. It was assisted by Derek Grant and Josh Manson. Like I said, Leafs improving to 8-5-0 on the season. They followed that up with a tilt against the Los Angeles Kings. They were defeated by the LA Kings. 5-3 was the final. Goaltender Curtis McElhinney, the backup goaltender to Frederik Andersen, was summoned to duty on the second of a back-to-back. He made 23 saves in the defeat. Leafs fall to 8-6-0 on the season, while the LA Kings improved to 10-2-1. Goaltender Jonathan Quick was very busy, stopping 33 of 36 shots for the Los Angeles Kings. Toronto Maple Leafs were down 5-0 before Austin Matthews would score on a penalty shot. Morgan Riley and Connor Brown would also score for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Austin Matthews adding a goal and an assist in the game, while William Nylander and Zach Hyman both added an assist apiece. Austin Matthews also became only the 4th player in NHL history to attempt 2 penalty shots in a single NHL game. As far as the LA Kings go, Tyler Toffoli led the way with 2 goals for the Los Angeles Kings, while Tanner Pearson added 3 assists. Michael Camilleri added a goal and an assist for the LA Kings, while Trevor Lewis scored for the LA Kings in the victory. The Leafs would then go on Saturday night on Hockey Night in Canada to face off against the St. Louis Blues to wrap a 4-game road trip. Unfortunately, they would fall to the St. Louis Blues 6-4. St. Louis improving to 11-3-1, while the Leafs dropped to 8-7 on the season. Goalie Frederik Andersen wasn't so sharp in this one. He only stopped 26 of 32 shots. He only stopped 26 of them in the defeat, while goaltender Jake Allen of the St. Louis Blues stopped 27 in the victory. Tyler Blozak would score 2 goals, while Andreas Borgman would add a goal and an assist, and Connor Brown would also find the score sheet for the Toronto Maple Leafs in the defeat. Surprisingly good on the night for the Toronto Maple Leafs was Matt Martin. He added 3 assists for the Toronto Maple Leafs in the defeat. Alex Pietrangelo, the captain of the St. Louis Blues, added 2 goals, while Vladimir Tarasenko and Vladimir Zabotka both added a goal apiece for the Blues. while Braden Shen and Jaden Swartz finished with 4 and 3 assists, respectively. Toronto Maple Leafs then finally were back home to face off against the Vegas Golden Knights for the first time in franchise history. They would come out on top in this one. 4-3 was the final via the shootout. Leafs improving to 9-7-0 on the season, while the Golden Knights would suffer their first shootout loss in franchise history. It dropped their record to 9-4-1 on the season. James Neal and Riley Smith and Derek Engelland would score for the Vegas Golden Knights, while Nazem Kadri had 2 and James Van Riemsdyk supplied 1 for the Maple Leafs. Unfortunately, in the shootout, it was Mitch Marner scoring for the Toronto Maple Leafs. It was the only goal in the shootout as the Maple Leafs prevailed 4-3 in the shootout. Looking now at your Maple Leafs leading scorers, Austin Matthews continues to lead the way. 10 goals, 9 assists for 19 points for him. Nazem Kadri's off to a hot start. 8 goals and 5 assists for him. He is at 13 points so far on the season through 16 games. William Nylander has 3 goals and 9 assists for 12 points. He's joined by Morgan Riley, 2 goals and 10 assists for 12 points. And James Van Riemsdyk, he rounds out the top 5. 6 goals and 5 assists for 11 points for him. Over to our league-leading scorers in the NHL, Steven Stamkos continues to lead the way. 7 goals and 18 assists for the red-hot Tampa Bay Lightning, 25 points for him. Nikita Kucherov, 14 goals and 9 assists. His 14 goals lead the NHL in goals on the season. He has 23 points for second place. Winnipeg Jets forward Blake Wheeler has 5 goals and 16 assists, good for 21 points, good for the third spot in the league-leading NHL scorers. Jaden Swartz of the St. Louis Blues, 8 goals and 12 assists, good for 20 points, good for the number 4 spot. Coming in at number 5 and rounding out our top 5 is Toronto Maple Leafs forward Austin Matthews. 10 goals and 9 assists for him, 19 points on the season. Looking now at your NHL Atlantic Division standings, Tampa Bay continues to lead the way. They are 11-2-2 through 15 games this season. They have 24 points on the year. Toronto Maple Leafs come in at number 2. They are 9-7-0, good for 18 points on the season. Coming in at number 3, 6-3-5, Ottawa Senators, 17 points for them on the season. They are tied with the Detroit Red Wings, who are 8-7-1 on the season, good for 17 points. The Boston Bruins come in at 6-4-3 on the year. They have 15 points, while the Montreal Canadiens are at 6-8-1 in the 6th spot, good for 13 points. The Florida Panthers and the Buffalo Sabres are tied at 10 points apiece. Florida Panthers have a record of 4-7-2, while the Buffalo Sabres have a record of 4-8-2 in 14 games this season. Up next for your Toronto Maple Leafs this upcoming week, it's a busy one for them. Wednesday, November 8th, they are at the ACC against the Minnesota Wild. It's a 7:30 puck drop on November the 8th. Minnesota comes into the game 5-6-2 on the season. They wrap up their week with a home-and-home against the Boston Bruins. Friday, November 10th is at the ACC at 7 o'clock p.m. And Saturday, November 11th on Remembrance Day, it's a 7 o'clock p.m. Hockey Night in Canada start in Boston, Massachusetts against the Bruins. Bruins come into the home-and-homes with a record of 6-4-3 on the season. The Maple Leafs are off to they were off to a hot start. They were 7-1 on the season, and unfortunately now they find themselves with a record of 9-7 on the season. I thought I was right there. Now, continuing now with your NHL report, we have a blockbuster trade to announce. That's correct, folks. You are reading this page right. Matt Duchene has been finally traded by the Colorado Avalanche. He is being dealt to the Ottawa Senators in a 3-player deal. Here's how the deal breaks down. To the Ottawa Senators is center Matt Duchene from the Colorado Avalanche. Matt Duchene has 10 points so far on this season. He joins a very good Ottawa team that will no doubt have a lot of increased scoring ability and scoring touch. This is a huge addition for them. Going to the Nashville Predators from the Ottawa Senators is center Kyle Turris. Turris then immediately signs a 6-year, $36 million extension with the Nashville Predators. He will slot in very nicely there for the Nashville Predators. And to the Colorado Avalanche, it's fair to say they got a fantastic haul in this deal for Matt Duchene. They received 3 draft picks, 2 of them coming from the Ottawa Senators. It's a first-round pick and a third-round pick. And they also receive a second-round selection from the Nashville Predators. They also received 4 players, most notably goaltender Andrew Hammond from the Ottawa Senators. This deal will be very good for Colorado for years to come, as they also shed Matt Duchene's salary. They've been looking to move him for quite some time, and they finally were able to get the deal done. That wraps this week's NHL and Maple Leafs report. We'll be right back after this. Don't go away. Don't go anywhere. We will continue with the NFL report on the other side of the break. TST Total Sports Talk presents the NFL report. Welcome back to the program, everybody. Andrew Rogers here for TST Total Sports Talk. This is your NFL report. We are talking Week 9 in the NFL, and what a week it was. Here are your scores from Week number 9. Starting off our week, it was the New York Jets coming on top against the Buffalo Bills, 34-21. New York Jets moved to 4-5 on the year, while Buffalo falls to 5-3. Matt Forte was very good in the game, 14 rushes for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Carolina Panthers upended the Atlanta Falcons 20-17 with the strength of Cam Newton, 137 pass yards and 86 rush yards, including a rush touchdown for Cam Newton in the victory. Carolina Panthers moving to 6-3 while Atlanta falls to 4-4. The Indianapolis Colts would take advantage of the Houston Texans. 20-14 was the final. Indianapolis moving to 3-6 while the Houston Texans fall to 3-5. T.Y. Hilton was the big producer on the day. 5 receptions for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Houston Texans look lost without Deshaun Watson, who suffered a season-ending torn ACL in practice this past Thursday. The Jacksonville Jaguars defeated the Cincinnati Bengals 23-7. Jacksonville improving to 5-3 on the year, while the Bengals fall to 3-5. Blake Bortles was very good on the day, 24 of 38, 259 yards, and a touchdown pass for him. The New Orleans Saints defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 30-10. New Orleans Saints moved to 6-2 on the year, while Tampa falls to 2-6. Running back Alvin Kamara had 68 rush yards and 84 receiving yards for a combined 2 touchdowns on the day. Tampa Bay losing Jameis Winston in the game. It's being reported he'll miss a couple of weeks with a sore shoulder. The LA Rams moved to 6-2 on the year with a commanding 51-17 victory over the New York Giants, who fall to 1-7 on the season. Jared Goff was very good, 14 of 22 for 311 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Philadelphia Eagles used 51 points to upend the Denver Broncos 51-23. 8-1 Philadelphia moves to on the season, while Denver Broncos fall to 3-5. Carson Wentz was very good in the game, 15 of 27, 199 yards for him and 4 touchdowns. The Tennessee Titans defeated the Baltimore Ravens 23-20. Tennessee improving to 5-3 while Baltimore falls to 4-5. Marcus Mariota was very good in the game, 19 of 28, 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Adrian Peterson rushed 37 times for 159 yards in the Arizona Cardinals' 20-10 victory over the San Francisco 49ers. The Arizona Cardinals improved to 4-4 on the season, while the San Francisco 49ers are still looking for their first win. They dropped to 0-9 on the season. Kirk Cousins had a great day, 21 of 31, 247 yards passing, while Rob Kelly rushed for 2 touchdowns in the 17-14 victory over the Seattle Seahawks. Washington improving to 4-4 on the season, while the Seattle Seahawks dropped to 5-3. The Dallas Cowboys used 27 rushes for 93 yards and a touchdown from Ezekiel Elliott to upend the Kansas City Chiefs 28-17. Dallas improves to 5-3 on the year, while the Kansas City Chiefs fall to 6-3. It is also believed that this may be the last game that Ezekiel Elliott plays for a while. His suspension is projected to kick in week number 10. The Sunday Nighter saw the Oakland Raiders defeat the Miami Dolphins 27-24. Oakland improves to 5-4 in the year, while Miami drops to 4-4. Marshawn Lynch rushed 14 times for 57 yards and 2 touchdowns in his return from a 1-game suspension. And finally wrapping our Week 9 schedule, had the Detroit Lions upend the Green Bay Packers 30-17. Matt Stafford threw 26 of 33 for 361 yards and 2 touchdowns, both of those to Marvin Jones Jr., as the Lions improved to 4-4 on the season, while the Green Bay Packers fall to 4-4. Looking now at your Week 9 leaders, you're at the QB position. Matt Stafford led the way, 26 of 33 for 361 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions for him. Matt Ryan comes in at number 2 from the Atlanta Falcons, 24 of 38 for 313 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Jay Cutler of the Miami Dolphins went 34 of 42 for 311 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jared Goff comes in at number 4, 14 of 22 for 311 yards and 4 touchdowns. And finally, rounding out the top 5, Jacoby Brissett, 20 of 30 for 308 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Indianapolis Colts victory. Moving over now to the running back position, Adrian Peterson led all rushers, 37 rushing attempts for 159 yards. No touchdowns for him, but he did lead the league in yards this past week. Ezekiel Elliott rushed 27 times for 93 yards and a touchdown. He comes in at number 2. Cam Newton comes in at number 3, 9 rushes for him, 86 yards and a touchdown. While newly acquired Jay Ajayi from the Philadelphia Eagles, he rushed 8 times for 77 yards and a touchdown. Finally, number 5, Matt Forte from the New York Jets, rushed 14 times for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns. Finally, your receiving leaders for the Week 9. T.Y. Hilton led the way, 5 receptions for 175 huge yards and 2 touchdowns. Number 2 is Terrence Williams from the Dallas Cowboys, 9 receptions, 141 yards, no touchdowns. Number 3 was Jared Cook of the Oakland Raiders. He caught 8 he hauled in 8 receptions for 126 yards, no touchdowns. Number 4 was Julio Jones, Atlanta Falcons, 6 catches for 118 yards. And Golden Tate of the Detroit Lions, 7 catches for 113 yards, good for the number 5 position for the for the NFL in week number 9. Now, we want to update you on the NFL standings as it currently sits through 9 weeks of the season. We have in your AFC East, the New England Patriots lead the way 6-2. They are followed by the Buffalo Bills at 5-3 at number 2. The Miami Dolphins at 4-4 are number 3, and the New York Jets at 4-5. Over in the AFC North, the Pittsburgh Steelers lead the way 6-2 on the season. Baltimore Ravens come in at number 2. They are 4-5. The Cincinnati Bengals at number 3, 3-5, and the Cleveland Browns at 0-8 are at number 4. The AFC South Division is very good. The Tennessee Titans 5-3 and the Jacksonville Jaguars at 5-3 lead the way there, while the Houston Texans and Indianapolis Colts are at 3-5 and 3-6 respectively. Over in the AFC West, you have the Kansas City Chiefs leading the way there, 6-3 on the season. The Oakland Raiders are at number 2 at 4-5. The LA Chargers and the Denver Broncos both at 3-5 on the year. Switching over now to the NFC story, we have the Philadelphia Eagles leading the way at 8-1 in the NFC East. They are followed by the Dallas Cowboys at 5-3, the Washington Redskins at 4-4, and the New York Giants in the number 4 spot at 1-7. Over in the NFC North, with the Detroit Lions victory, they move into the number 2 spot. The Minnesota Vikings are still leading that division at 6-2. Detroit and Green Bay now tied at 4-4 on the year, while the Chicago Bears are at 3-5 in the 4 spot. NFC South Division has the New Orleans Saints leading the division at 6-2, while the Carolina Panthers are at number 2, 6-3 on the year. Atlanta Falcons are in the number 3 spot at 4-4, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 2-6. In the NFC West, we have the LA Rams at 6-2 on the year, the Seattle Seahawks at 5-3, the Arizona Cardinals at 4-4, and the San Francisco 49ers are in the number 4 spot at 0-9. At this point in the show, we'd like to look ahead to week number 10 in the NFL. The NFL's week 10 Thursday nighter is the Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals. Seattle at 5-3, Arizona at 4-4. Our Sunday slate of games gets started with the New Orleans Saints in Buffalo to face off against the Bills. New Orleans Saints at 6-2, Buffalo at 5-3 should be a dandy of a matchup. That'll probably be one of the best games of the week, in my opinion. The Green Bay Packers are into Chicago to face off against the Bears. Green Bay at 4-4, Chicago at 3-5. The winless Browns are into Detroit to face off against the Detroit Lions. Cleveland at 0-8, looking for their first win against the Lions at 4-4. The Pittsburgh Steelers take their 6-2 record into Indianapolis to face off against the Indianapolis Colts, who are at 3-6. The LA Chargers at 3-5 are into Jacksonville to face off against the 5-3 Jacksonville Jaguars. The New York Jets at 4-5 are into Tampa Bay to face off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are at 2-6. It'll be Ryan Fitzpatrick at the helm for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers up against his former team, the New York Jets. The Cincinnati Bengals at 3-5 are into Tennessee to face off against Mariota and the Tennessee Titans, who are at 5-3. Minnesota Vikings at 6-2 into Washington to face off against Washington Redskins, who are at 4-4. Also at 4-4 are the Houston Texans. Without Deshaun Watson, they are forced to go to Tom Savage. They are in Los Angeles to face off against the LA Rams, who are off to an incredible start, 6-2 on the season for them. The Dallas Cowboys take their 5-3 record into Atlanta to face off against the 4-4 Atlanta Falcons. Finally, wrapping up the afternoon games is the New York Giants at 1-7 into San Francisco to face off against the winless 49ers, who are at 0-9. The NFL Sunday Nighter sees the New England Patriots at 6-2 up against the Denver Broncos and Brock Osweiler at 3-5. This game goes in Denver at 8:30 Sunday on NBC. And wrapping up our Week 10 schedule has the Miami Dolphins at 4-4 into Carolina to face off against Cam Newton and the high-flying Carolina Panthers, who are at 6-3. Your Week 10 buys are the Baltimore Ravens, who sit at 4-5, the Kansas City Chiefs at 6-3, the Oakland Raiders at 5-4, and the Philadelphia Eagles at 8-1. This has been your NFL report for this week's episode of TST Total Sports Talk. We'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere. TST Total Sports Talk presents the Toronto Raptors and the NBA report. Welcome back to the program, everybody. Andrew Rogers here, as always, TST Total Sports Talk. Thank you very much for joining me. This is your NBA and Toronto Raptors report. The Toronto Raptors had a busy week last week. They had 3 games. They finished up a road trip and ended up at home against the Washington Wizards this past Sunday. Here's your game recaps. The Toronto Raptors continuing their road trip against the Denver Nuggets. They would fall 129-111 at the hands of the Nuggets. Denver improves to 4-4 on the year, while the Raptors drop to 4-3. Norman Powell led the way for the Toronto Raptors with 14 points, while Serge Ibaka chipped in with 11. DeMar DeRozan with his season-low 10 points in the loss. Kitchener, Ontario native Jamal Murray led the Denver Nuggets in scoring 24 points, while newly acquired in the offseason Paul Millsap had 20 points for the Nuggets. Nuggets also scored 43 points in the third quarter, as, like I said, DeMar scores a season-low 10 in the blowout loss at the hands of the Denver Nuggets. Raptors, though, would recover in a matchup against the Utah Jazz. Raptors come out on top in this one, 109-100. Raptors improving to 5-3 on the year, while the Utah Jazz dropped to 5-4 on the year. DeMar DeRozan was back to his normal self. After scoring a season-low 10 against the Denver Nuggets, he would explode for 37 points and 6 rebounds in the victory. Kyle Lowry was also very good in the game, 15 points, 10 assists for him, while Serge Ibaka had 10 points and 5 rebounds in the victory. Norman Powell chipping in with 15 points. Like I say, as the Raptors improved to 5-3 on the year. However, they would close out the their week with a loss at the hands of the Washington Wizards back at the ACC this past Sunday. 107-96 was the final. Washington Wizards improving to 5-4, while the Raptors dropped to that same 5-4 record. DeMar DeRozan led the way for the Raptors in the loss, 26 points and 4 rebounds, while Norman Powell had 19 points, DeLon Wright 11 points and 4 assists, while Serge Ibaka was very close to a triple-double. He finished with 7 points and 10 rebounds. Leading the way for the Washington Wizards was Bradley Beal, 38 points and 5 rebounds for him, as Otto Porter had 19 points and 5 rebounds for the Washington Wizards. Note in this one, Kyle Lowry only playing 12 minutes, scoring 2 points only when he picked up 2 technical fouls in a quick succession for arguing with the officials. Unfortunately, it ended his night early, and the Raptors could never recover. Raptors currently sitting in a four-way tie for second in the Atlantic. They continue to trail the Boston Celtics, who are running away early on. They are sit at 5-4. They have a lot of room to make up early on here in the NBA season. Next up for your Toronto Raptors, they have 3 games this upcoming week. Tuesday, November 7th, they welcome the Chicago Bulls, who are at 2-6 on the year. That is a 7:30 tip-off. Thursday, November 9th, the Pelicans are at the ACC. They sport a record of 5-5. That is also a 7:30 tip. And then Sunday, November 12th, they wrap their week against the Boston Celtics. That is a 3:30 p.m. matinee game in Boston. The Toronto Raptors are looking for the upswing here. You know what? They did not look very good against the Washington Wizards this past week. They look to turn their season around and get on a winning streak here and pick up some victories. They sit at 5-4. Not ideally where they'd like to be in a very weak Eastern Conference. They need to improve, and they need to really pounce on this opportunity, and as they look to do so this week, starting with a matchup against the Chicago Bulls on Tuesday. This has been this week's Raptors Report. We'll be right back after this. Don't go away. TST Total Sports Talk presents the Major League Baseball Report and Toronto Blue Jays Report. Welcome back to the program, everybody. Andrew Rogers here for TST Total Sports Talk. Hopefully you have enjoyed the program thus far. And hopefully you're not getting too distracted by my very dirty Movember mustache. I'm very excited about it, as you can probably tell. This now is your MLB report and your World Series report. So this World Series came down to the wire. We left off last week with Game 6 in Los Angeles, and here's how it all ended and went down. George Springer's home run in his 3rd straight game and 4th time in this series in the top of the 3rd put the Astros out in front, but it was all Dodgers from there, capped by a solo shot from Jock Peterson in the bottom of the 7th, as this dramatic series is forced to a Game 7. Rich Hill was very efficient for the Dodgers, going 4 2/3 innings, striking out 5, allowing only 1 run on 4 hits, as the Dodgers prevailed 3-1 in Game number 6 to tie this series at 3 games apiece. However, in Game number 7, it was the Houston Astros coming out on top. They are your 2017 World Series champions with a 5-1 victory in Game number 7. By the time George Springer's 5th home run in the series cleared the wall and the Astros jumped out to a 5-0 lead in the top of the 2nd, it was all but finished. Yu Darvish had a World Series to forget, as he would fail to get out of the 2nd inning in both Game 3 and Game 7, registering an ERA of 21.60, allowing 8 runs in 3 1/3 innings combined. George Springer was named the World Series MVP, although it can be argued that Yu Darvish should have won it. He was named the MVP after hitting 5 home runs and recording a World Series record 29 total bases in the series. It is the first World Series in Houston Astros history. So yes, congratulations, much congratulations to the Houston Astros, who are your 2017 World Series champions. It's a huge victory for the Houston Astros, and you know what? This team is so good that I could see them winning a few more before all the dust is settled. They will be a very tough team for years and years to come. Now, with that being said, by the way, if you are missing baseball already, there are only 100 days left until pitchers and catchers have to report for spring training next April. If that isn't scary enough, I don't know what is. But yes, baseball has ended, and what that means is now we are looking for something to fill our MLB report every week on the program. And what we will do is I'm very excited to announce that right here on the program, TST Total Sports Talk, we will be introducing a brand new program. Well, we ask you to ask your questions. Any sports-related question you guys have, all you got to do is reach out to any of these 5 ways for contacting me through social media. And if you have a sports-related question that you want me to answer on the program, submit your question, and I will air that question, and I will answer that question for you right here on the program. It is sort of like an Ask the Experts type of segment. However, I am looking for something to name it. And if you feel like you have the best suggestion out there, please reach out to me and with your suggestion. And if that is the case, if I happen to choose that your suggestion, if that is the best out of all the suggestions that come in, not only will that be the name of the segment moving forward, but I will also dedicate it to you. So, for example, if the best suggestion was Ask the Experts, and you were the one to choose, if I was the one to suggest it, it would be Andrew Rogers Presents Ask the Experts, for example. So yes, very excited about that. It's time to get interactive right here on TST Total Sports Talk. That is my big announcement for this week. That is your Major League Baseball report for the final time until next season and the World Series wrap up right here on TST. We'll be right back after this. Don't go away. Welcome back, everybody, to TST Total Sports Talk. We have reached that point in the show where we were just about to close, but we have big news out of the UFC. Something we don't normally cover on TST, but this one's big, considering it revolves around the much-anticipated return of George St. Pierre to the Octagon. He has not wrestled in the he has not competed in the Octagon in 4 years, and he took on Michael Bisping and defeated him. George St. Pierre improving to 26-2 on his phenomenal career. He defeated Michael Bisping. His record drops to 31-8. He defeated him by via submission, via rear naked choke in the third round. This was a phenomenal fight, folks. If you haven't watched the highlights, please look and try to find any sort of highlights, or even try and look up the video of the full fight online somewhere. It's got to be there. It was a fantastic fight. GSP looked very, very good in his return. He didn't look rusty at all. And you know what? It was a fantastic victory for him as he defeated Michael Bisping for the middleweight championship. Now, middleweight is one up from the lightweight division that he normally fights at. And you know what? It'll be really interesting to see what happens next for GSP. Early word is that he will fight next. He will fight interim UFC lightweight champion Robert Whittaker in his next fight. When that is to happen or take place, it is unknown at this time. But much congratulations to Canadian George St. Pierre in his much anticipated return to the Octagon. He is victorious in a third round submission victory over Michael Bisping. It is now time for our TST Sports Movie Pick of the Week. For this week, it is a 1993 release, Cool Runnings. Yes, Cool Runnings is your sports movie pick of the week this week. John Candy stars as Irv Blitzer in this hilarious comedy that follows a man trying to earn his place in the Olympics for the 100-meter run, but when a disqualification ruins his chances, he forms together a team to form the first Jamaican bobsled team, and he seeks out the help of John Candy, whose character Irv Blitzer, to lead them to victory. He is very controversial, to say the least. It is a laugh-out-loud comedy for the whole family. The TST Sports Movie Pick of the Week this week is Disney's Cool Runnings, released in 1993.
This is good.
This is it. Everybody climb in. Pull up. I don't understand. I'm not going to push start? Now we're going to push start next time. For your first run, I'm just going to nudge you off. Okay, everybody in. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Don't touch me.
Hey, Baldy, get off my foot.
Don't touch me. Come on.
Hey, Blitzer! Why don't you put some training wheels on that sled?
That's funny. Very funny.
You want to kiss my egg?
I'm not kissing no egg.
Suit yourself.
Now listen up, fellas. I don't want you to worry about looking good out there.
Ah, Blitzy. You going to tuck them in, too?
Hey, seeming to you like nobody likes us.
We're different. People are always afraid of what's different.
Hey, Jamaica! Watch out for number 12 turn. It's scary, yeah?
What's his problem?
He's Joseph Gruel. He's one of the best drivers in the world.
Yeah, he's one of the biggest assholes in the world, too.
Well, don't listen to him. You listen to me. Doris, right here. You got it? Remember, keep your hands soft and your mind clear. High in, low out. What is it?
High in, low out.
All right, put your helmets on, everybody. Let's go. Here we go. Come on. Helmets on.
Hey, Coach.
Yeah,
I can't get my helmet on. Oh, thanks, Coach.
that's what I'm here for.
Oh, Coach.
Yeah.
I gotta go, you know.
Hold it.
Hold it,
Hold it.
hold it.
Yeah, hold it.
But Coach, I can't hold it. We're not bobsledding yet.
Oh, yes, we are.
Coach! Coach!
Now, as always, we remind you that our commentator clothing was made and purchased from Vistaprint. Go to vistaprint.ca for all your custom apparel needs. This has been another episode of TST Total Sports Talk. Andrew Rogers signing off, saying have another nice week, and we will see you back on the program for another episode. Be good. Treat everybody good. Happy Remembrance Day for all of you out there, and continue growing those Movember mustaches, because this time next week it is going to look dirtier than it does right now. I can assure you. Take care, everybody.